Where does your favorite team's starting quarterback rank entering the 2024 NFL season? What's going on, football fans? It's Mitch back with another season of NFL quarterback rankings. This time live on Bleacher Report. I am so happy to be ranking a bunch of positions this offseason on the BR app. And this is the first of the series. If you're watching this on YouTube, TheBottomLineView, thank you as well. Gronk, spike the like button. And don't forget to subscribe for more NFL rankings just like this. These are my rankings for every starting quarterback. I've put lots of time and thought into these rankings, and I will rank every quarterback from the worst, number 32, to the best number one quarterback in the game entering 2024. That's an important statement. These aren't rankings based on 2023, although 2023 certainly influences the list. This is more of a draft. If I were the general manager or the coach of every NFL team, how would I draft quarterbacks for the upcoming NFL season? So performance obviously matters. Statistics from last season obviously matters. Winning obviously matters. But as well, my own subjective opinion on the skill and the talent of each individual quarterback. And I'm not going to be scared to also rank the rookie quarterbacks. If they're starting, or I believe they will start, for most of the year, I will be ranking them in this video for how well I think they will perform. If I want them over a vet, I don't care that the vet has played more seasons. I really don't. Okay? So you're going to get my honest take on your rookie, on your starter, and everything in between. Okay? So let me know in the comments whether you're here live on the BR app or you're watching on YouTube. Let me know your opinion on my list, guys. I want the feedback. I want you to rip me or love me in the comment section below. Let's waste no more time. Let's go, guys. Let's go. It's quarterback ranking season. It's time. Let's go. Let's begin. Number 32 quarterback on my list, which this is the first rookie to be named on the list. That is Bo Nix of the Denver Broncos. Bo Nix is expected to be the starting quarterback of the Denver Broncos this year. Although that is not solidified and certain, Zach Wilson, Jarrett Stidham could also take this job. Bo Nix was drafted much higher than many people thought he would be, with the intention that Sean Payton wants to start him. I don't really understand the point of trading for Zach Wilson after what we saw from him and seen from him to start him. Jarrett Stidham has been nothing more than a backup and has yet to prove that he's anything more than a backup. So starting your first round pick makes perfect sense. Now, why would Sean Payton draft Bo Nix? Why would Sean Payton want Bo Nix to start? Bo Nix, I think, first of all, he's a little bit of an underrated athlete when it comes to the size of the quarterback, when it comes to the arm strength of the quarterback. A lot of people look at Bo Nix and the offense he played in Oregon, and I don't think they quite handle or grasp how strong his arm is. I think he has NFL-ready traits in terms of his arm ability, accuracy, and then the ability to get the ball out on time to the right place. And when we think back to last season and what the Broncos were offensively, there was too much Russell Wilson scrambling around, doing his own thing, and not staying within the precision of the Sean Payton attack. And this Bo Nix is a new look quarterback, more similar to the same lane as a Drew Brees in terms of he's going to stay within the pocket. He's going to scramble when he needs to, but he's going to go to the right place at the right time with the football, get it out quickly and accurately. He's going to save his offensive line. And yes, he's an older prospect. Yes, he's somebody that maybe at his advanced age in college was able to dominate defenses with how often he was able to see the same look. And in that incredibly well-defined offense of Oregon, he was just picking defenses apart in not exactly the most competitive conference, right? But Bo Nix, I think, could surprise some people with his traits. I think he could surprise some people right away in this offense. I wouldn't be shocked if Bo Nix was good in the NFL, like a manageable starter right away. But I don't think that longevity-wise or like throughout his career, he'll have the same ceiling as some of the other rookie quarterbacks. But he is an older guy. He is a more mature player. So he should be able to handle the NFL from the jump. But I like Bo Nix. I don't love Bo Nix. Clearly, he's at 32 for a reason. I do think he'll struggle. I do think he'll struggle to make big plays in the NFL because he really doesn't have an elite trait. But he's got a lot of traits that you do like. So at number 32, the Denver Broncos starter, no matter really who you pick. But at number 32, it is Bo Nix. Now, at number 31, this might be maybe slightly controversial in some way, shape, or form, being that he was literally the first overall pick last season. But my number 31 is Bryce Young. Yes, Bryce Young is my number 31. I just felt like he was horrible last year as a rookie, and I do expect him to take steps forward. But if I were being honest, the general manager drafting, I would not be picking Bryce Young very high at all. Okay, he has a lot of concerning aspects to his game, and those came to the forefront in his first NFL season. He is extremely small, and he's not extremely agile or fast to be able to escape pressure. He actually led the NFL in sack yardage, which means he was holding on the ball too long, and oftentimes he was moving backwards when he was getting sacked. Okay, he oftentimes tries to escape the pocket and make ad-lib plays, but he oftentimes can't escape those edge rushers that are probably faster than he is. So you're small, you can't really manufacture anything from within the pocket because those big defensive linemen are in your passing lanes. They're suffocating the pocket. They're getting interior push. And Bryce is not able to be stepping up and taking big hits because he's small. Okay, so it's just a critical angle of what the position is. You've got to be, it feels like a certain limitation on size, a certain ability in terms of arm strength, a certain ability in terms of escapability. If you don't have those things, we'll see a quarterback that has similar size later on this list, but maybe has a little bit more athletic traits. Okay, but Bryce Young, I do think, first of all, off the field, I think his study habits, his work ethic, supremely high, which is why he was picked at number 1. I think that his teammates definitely will gravitate around him and really allow him to perform this year. He does have a better offensive line. He does have better receivers. He hopefully has better play calling and Dave Canales as the head coach. All those things will help him. Last year, the receivers couldn't separate. Last year, he, offensive line-wise, wasn't the greatest situation. Wasn't the worst situation ever, but wasn't the greatest, right? He does have a run game. Now, Carolina is not the best team in the world, but Bryce is going to have to prove as a first overall pick that he can elevate people around him. He can elevate receivers, elevate the offensive line, elevate the scheme, elevate all those things. We've yet to see that whatsoever, right? Struggled in terms of completion percentage, struggled in terms of yardage. The guy played 16 games, didn't even throw for 3,000 yards. So a lot of issues I have with Bryce Young's game. He's going to have to speed up his processing. He's going to have to make more plays from within the pocket and be willing to take hits. And he's going to have to get a little bit better on knowing when to throw the ball away, when to take the sack, when to do his thing. Okay, so at number 31, Bryce Young. At number 30, the Minnesota Vikings starter, Sam Darnold. And it is expected that Sam Darnold will start for the Minnesota Vikings and Kevin O'Connell's offense. Sam Darnold, actually, I would say, was recently the starter for Carolina, and I would say did outperform Bryce Young not too long ago within the same sort of infrastructure. Different players to some degree, different offense to some degree, but still, Sam Darnold was in Carolina. They weren't a half-bad team. He actually finished that season pretty well. He goes to San Francisco, and I think this is really where he upgraded his game. So I wouldn't be shocked if Sam Darnold actually played well this year. First of all, you learned from Kyle Shanahan. You were behind Brock Purdy. You were able to gain an experience that you didn't have. Actually be in a quarterback room with a good offensive coordinator that could help you, tutor you on some of your weaker points of your game, right? But Sam Darnold the things I like about him physically, he's actually a really deceptive, good scrambler. He can move, he can break sacks, break tackles, and he can get first downs in a hurry. He's got a pretty strong arm. It's not elite or anything, but he can certainly make a number of powerful throws at the intermediate level of the field. He's got a quick release, and he's really good at kind of manipulating the pocket and avoiding pressure, stepping up and making kind of off balance and type of throws, right? So Sam Darnold, I think, could be really successful in Minnesota in an offense where it's play action oriented, run heavy. He's got really good receivers around him, the best of his career by far, and he's able to kind of have simple reads. Where Sam Darnold gets lost is I think he's too erratic sometimes with his accuracy and his feet to be able to put the ball on the money consistently. Like, rhythm is not really a huge part of his game. Secondly, I think mentally he struggles to process a lot of defenses, and he throws the ball into coverage far too often. But with a more simplistic approach to the offense in O'Connell, I think that it's going to be probably a good combination and probably the best we've seen from Sam Darnold in his career, because he has those weapons and he has that infrastructure. And he was just in an offense that was fairly similar in terms of Kyle Shanahan and the San Francisco 49ers. So I think Darnold is being a little bit slept on because a lot of people have just given up on him already. He certainly has his flaws. He certainly could get smarter, but I do feel he has the traits and the skills to be able to be a starting quarterback still in this league. So at number 29, Gardner Minshew of the Las Vegas Raiders. Gardner Minshew has always been a favorite of mine and probably yours as well, just because the guy is so entertaining. He has a giant personality. He has the jorts. He has the stash. He has the mullet. He has it all. And he is a vision of Kenny Stabler and the Raiders, right? That's what it feels like with Gardner Minshew. But don't get it twisted. Gardner Minshew is a bridge quarterback. That being said, I think he's about as good of a cheap option at quarterback as you could get. First of all, everybody loves Gardner Minshew. He's going to be a great leader in the locker room, and players are going to want to play with and for him. We saw that in Indianapolis. The first round pick went down. Okay. Then he had to step up, step into that spot, and he had to perform. And they nearly made the playoffs. They were like literally one throw away. Minshew was one throw away from making the playoffs with the Indianapolis Colts last year, a team that nobody really expected to make the playoffs. He was pretty darn good at the start of his career with Jacksonville. Just check the stats. And one thing you could consistently say about Minshew is that he doesn't turn the ball over. He takes care of the ball. He's really accurate with the football in short spaces. He does have a little bit of a lack of arm strength. He is a little bit on the smaller end. He isn't the biggest guy. He isn't really willing to sit in there and take a ton of shots in the pocket, but he is really savvy at kind of finding those lanes to scramble, picking up that 3rd and 6. And again, like, he doesn't give the ball to the other team very often. He has some games where he'll like throw 3 to the other team, but then most of the time he's pretty good at just being conservative, taking what the defense gives him, managing a team. So Minshew, great off the field character, and on the field, he can pretty much run any offense you ask him to run. He just has physical limitations that keep him low on the list. So at number 29, Gardner Minshew. At number 28, rookie Jayden Daniels, starter of the Washington Commanders. He might be higher for other people depending on what you think of him coming out of college. I was a little bit on the lower end of the spectrum when it came to the evaluation of Jayden Daniels. Okay, so Jayden Daniels is at number 28 for me. I do have concerns about his game. First and foremost, I do have concerns about his stature, his size, especially his thickness. I worry about that. Same thing I worried about with Bryce Young. I also worry about, more importantly, that he is a pocket or a scrambler. He is not a extender of plays, and typically is not what we see from Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, the top quarterbacks that will be on this list. He doesn't have that trait to be able to create outside of structure that often. He's rather going to throw or run. And that's a little bit on the low end of the spectrum, Justin Fields-ish, And that's on the high end of the spectrum, Jalen Hurts. Now, what I do like about him, I think that he is very mechanically sound. His accuracy, especially outside of the numbers, is darn good. And he usually puts the ball where it needs to be. He showcases nice touch. But I do think that great receivers at LSU could certainly elevate what we thought of him on that tape, right? So we're going to have to see him work the middle of the field a bit more, be able to not just run or throw from the pocket, and actually protect himself a bit better. So there's things that I think he could be successful with as a rookie. Like, I think designed runs and being an athlete, he'll be good at those things. He's just got to learn when to slide and not run into hits. And I think he'll be good in a spread setting where he's able to see the entire field, RPOs, get the ball out quick, extended handoffs, things of that nature. I'm intrigued to see Cliff Kingsbury utilize his skill set similarly to Kyler Murray. But yeah, Jayden Daniels is one that I could certainly see a lot of people having a little bit higher on this list. It's always difficult to rank rookies, but he is the second one to enter the list. At number 27, I have Daniel Jones. Now, Daniel Jones is really tough because I feel like Daniel Jones is one of the most hated on individuals at this position in the entire NFL. But you have to be honest with your evaluation. Like, it's weird because last year in 2023, or 2022, I should say, in 2023, it was a disaster. Like, they couldn't block. They had no receivers to throw to, and he was not good himself. In 2022, he was actually good, right? Like, he didn't turn it over. He ran really well. He seemed to function the offense at a fairly high level. And he has things that you really like about his game. Like, he's got all the physical tools to be a very good quarterback, which is where I think the Giants get caught up. And they said, okay, maybe it was the coaching beforehand, right? With Daniel Jones, where he has the size, he has the speed. You see him break away and trip on his face, right? A 60-yard run. How many quarterbacks can do that? He's got, that arm strength to be able to throw the ball. But he feels like he doesn't have a lot of creativity to his game. He's very structured. He's very mechanical. He's too robotic. He seems to stay in the pocket, look at the first read, and he seems to get a little bit fuzzy after the first read. But he's weird because we've seen Brian Daboll kind of manage him, put him in the right spot, and then win games with him to the point where they were in the divisional round a couple years ago. But at the same time, we've seen many seasons where his limitations of being too robotic and not being creative enough and not being a baller in that sense has really limited his upside. So he is a very tricky guy, in my opinion, to rank, especially considering that the public, right, social media would make you believe that the Giants are going to be done with him very soon, which I wouldn't necessarily disagree with. So at number 27, Daniel Jones. I think a guy that you can win with, a guy that in a certain system supported by a certain amount of things, right? A better offensive line, a better running game, receivers, you can win with. But there's a lot of quarterbacks that you can win with in that environment. He's not somebody that has proven that in a poor environment, he can elevate other things because I think he's a little slow-minded, personally. At number 26, I have Will Levis. Will Levis of the Tennessee Titans. Recently had to go over some Will Levis tape because, to be honest, he caught me in some of the primetime moments where his arm strength pops, his competitiveness pops. But I was actually a little bit more impressed than I would have thought, going back and watching him in terms of the rhythm and the ability to get the ball out fast. His release, I think, is a little bit quicker than given credit for. And he's a better athlete than given credit for overall. I wouldn't be shocked if Will Levis was a breakout candidate this year. He does have a good situation, right? A new offensive play caller, an offensive-minded coach. He has the father of that coach, Callahan, as the offensive line coach. And the offensive line is a lot more talented, drafting a left tackle, adding a center in free agency. Calvin Ridley has been added as a number one receiver. DeAndre Hopkins is still there. Tyler Boyd as a complementary piece. They added Tony Pollard in the backfield. So Tennessee seems to be surrounding Will Levis with pieces to succeed as if he's already their guy, which makes me believe that they really believe in what they saw in his rookie season. And his rookie season was pretty up and down roller coaster. And that's kind of his game. His game is he is going to throw the ball down the field. I think in terms of ADOT, he probably had the highest ADOT in the NFL. He was just throwing that thing down the field consistently. But I love to see that. I love aggressiveness in quarterbacks. I don't want to see a guy that keeps checking the ball down. I want a guy that off-play action is going to look to the intermediate level and try to throw that thing. And he has a wicked arm. His arm strength is real, and he is really tough. He does not have any regard for his body. He will try to run through multiple people. But unlike somebody like Jayden Daniels or Bryce Young, he actually has the size and the stature and the thickness to be able to actually take on contact and be able to gain yards through running the football. And it seems like his mentality overall, like kind of Chad energy in a way, has been infectious to his teammates. So I want to see Levis get more accurate consistently, be more on time consistently, and just play with more rhythm. But that is something that you can certainly learn. As a young quarterback, he did enough for me to prove that he has the off-the-field traits that maybe somebody like Daniel Jones does not. And he has the on-the-field traits to make you say he could be a really good quarterback. I actually see a lot of Baker Mayfield in his game. So at number 26, Will Levis. At number 25, Deshaun Watson, another quarterback that I certainly went back to watch because I've been sitting here ripping Deshaun Watson for 2 years, it feels like, because he has not been good. And when I say he's not been good, he has not been the same quarterback that he was, obviously. Not even close, right? But why? So why? You know, like what happened to Deshaun Watson? Is it a mental block? Is it a confliction with what happened off the field that has him kind of numb to playing football? Is it the physical traits deteriorating? Like what happened to Deshaun Watson? Was the coaching or the players around him in Houston elevating his play? Honestly, I don't really think so. So what happened to him? When you watch Deshaun Watson now, it feels like he is way more indecisive of where to go with the ball, of when to go with the ball. And really, he's just a lesser athlete in many ways. He's less of a Gumby player in terms of like manipulating the pocket. Remember how Watson would like break a sack with ease, like slip under a sack, like juke a guy, run, throw the ball on the move? He doesn't really seem to have that same nature in his game where he's able to just flawlessly move and manipulate his body weight and things and throw off platform and outside the pocket. And a lot of the magic of Deshaun Watson was his ability to extend, his ability to create, his ability to run or throw at an equal level of threat when he was on the move. His inside structure game was just average, right? Like he didn't have the greatest accuracy, and he still kind of struggles with his ball placement at times. He's probably one of the more well-known names that struggles with like putting the ball in the right spot consistently. But he's also one of those players that, to me, like when he's on, and he's really tough to stop. So yeah, Deshaun Watson is at number 25. I'm intrigued to see him in, I guess, year 3 now it would be in Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski probably has a better idea of how to use him as an athlete, a better idea of how to use him as an overall quarterback and what suits him and what doesn't suit him. So at number 25, I've got Deshaun Watson. At number 24, this might shock some people, and we're going to get biased comments in the comments, but Drake Maye is my number 24. Drake Maye, I believe in big time. I've said it a couple times. Obviously, I am a Patriots fan, so take it maybe with a little bit of grain of salt. But before I even knew he was going to be a Patriot, I was already evaluating Drake Maye as the quarterback that I think eventually, at the end of the day, will be the best quarterback in this draft class. And that might be crazy for some people, for Caleb Williams fans and stans out there. But I think Drake Maye has all the traits. He's already impressing in the offseason, in training camp, mini camp, right? And it's no shock to me. Like, he's got all the elite traits that we look for. He's got the size. He's got the athleticism. He was one of the best scramblers in college football last year and the year before. He has a massive arm. He's able to hit the deep ball at a high rate. He's probably the best deep ball thrower in this class by a wide margin. And he showcases an ability to work the middle of the field at a high level, where he had, I believe, the highest rate, most yards in the middle of the field in college football. So he's a quarterback that, yes, is young, yes, has some things to work out, like his feet overall, and things that he really didn't learn at the college level, but he's now learning in the NFL because it wasn't asked of him at the college level. But he's working those things out. But as we've seen with a guy like Jordan Love, right, like, you can work those things out. As we've seen with Josh Allen, you can work those small things out. Those are very fixable issues. What you can't fix is you can't fix the athlete. You can't fix the mentality. You can't fix having multiple brothers that play college sports and having to grow up in that environment of being competitive in each and every day of your life, building up to your NFL career. There's something about Drake Maye in terms of the off the field charisma and character and aura, as well as the on the field product, that makes you believe that he'll be a special player. So in year one, I think that he'll probably have really high moments, but also some kind of like underwhelming moments. I think that he will actually be able to elevate some of the talents on the Patriots at wide receiver and even the offensive line for his ability to escape sacks and to put the ball in certain locations that maybe a Mac Jones or a Bailey Zappi could not. I could see Drake Maye making that impact from day one. I think he could be a very good player from day one. But clearly he is not supported the same way as Caleb Williams, which is why I have him a little bit below Caleb Williams. But I think Caleb is more pro-ready, ready to rock. Drake Maye might take a little bit more time, but I think eventually they'll both be great players in this league. And I think Maye, even as a rookie, will already be a better player than some of these players I have below him. So at number 24, Drake Maye, who I'm not sure will start in week 1, but I think will eventually start relatively early, which is why I included him on the list than Jacoby Brissett. Over Jacoby Brissett, he's also just more interesting to talk about. I'm not going to talk about Jacoby Brissett. I'm sorry, guys. All right. At number 23, I have Anthony Richardson of the Indianapolis Colts. Richardson did not play very much as a rookie, but the things that I saw from him, he exhibits rare traits, like rare physical traits. And then also, I think he's got it, man. Like, I watch him. I think he's an underrated passer in terms of like pocket ability. No, the way that he moves within the pocket, the way that he's able to not extend necessarily, but stay within the pocket and have that pocket awareness, that pocket sense, the ability to move up, down, left, right, depending on how that protection is setting. And then the ability to set his feet and get rid of the ball pretty rapidly. Like, his release is really good. He is really inaccurate at times. Like, he's kind of wild with his accuracy. It kind of sprays all over the place. But when you're such a good athlete and you already exhibit the things that he exhibits in terms of his pocket feel and the ability to know where to go with the ball, like, I'm not too concerned. Like, was Cam Newton the most accurate guy in the world? No, but he eventually was an MVP caliber player, right? And he was a very good quarterback. Anthony Richardson is similar, where he's so big, he's so fast, his arm is so strong. He just can do things that guys can't do. Like, he could just do things that Bryce Young can't do. You know what I mean? So at a certain point, when you put him in an offense like Shane Steichen's, where he asks him to be, pretty simple reads, a lot of RPOs, a lot of running, right? Like getting outside the pocket, vertical shots down the field, kind of like Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Hurts obviously has matured as a player, and he had a lot more experience out of college than Anthony Richardson. Like, Richardson is a very young player in terms of experience at college and the pros, but he's already exhibiting these things from a passing standpoint. If he could just fix a little bit of his accuracy, he might be like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL eventually. Like, he really has that. And then if he can just protect himself and not be injured, I think he can eventually grow into a very good quarterback. So he's really promising with a lot of high-end traits. There's a reason this guy was like the best combine quarterback we've ever seen. And I was extremely impressed with some of the games that he played in 2023. So yeah, that running ability is real. The arm strength is real. He pops when you watch him, and he's a lot of fun to watch as well. I'm really excited to watch him in 2024. At number 22, I've got Caleb Williams. This is where Caleb Williams comes in on the list. Caleb is definitely somebody that is very, very divisive because some people, they love his confidence, borderline arrogance. Some people don't love it. But what you cannot deny about Caleb Williams is the absolute skill that he has. He is gifted in terms of his feel. Like his overall awareness to play football is special. Like his ability to escape pressure, his ability to know when to get rid of the ball under pressure, his ability to throw from multiple angles. He's really not like the biggest. He's really not the fastest. He's really not the strongest armed. He's not bad in any of those areas. Don't get me wrong. He can certainly run. He certainly has a strong enough, powerful enough arm. And, you know, he can definitely do some things at a very high level, but his feel is just next level. Like, and then you combine that with the lower half of his body being like Russell Wilson-like, where he's able to like escape sacks at an extremely high rate. He's able to laterally move at a really high rate and just like extend within the pocket, throw from all different angles like a Patrick Mahomes type of player, and then just instinctively know where to go with the ball in every single moment, whether it be a bubble screen that goes wrong or an outside the pocket, 10-second play where he's throwing the ball across his body. Now, where he needs to get better is that first play. The instincts need to be turned off for just a second to be able to operate within the NFL. Like, you need to be able to operate within structure, or else everything is going to become a scramble drill, and it's just not going to work for you. Turnovers are going to be caused, right? Fumbles are going to be forced, and that's where Caleb also needs to improve. His ability to handle the ball was very weak in terms of his fumbling at the college level. But when you talk about confidence, when you talk about intelligence, when you talk about feel, Caleb has very high marks in all of those areas. And I think he's going to be an easy transition as a leader at the NFL level because he just has that individual confidence that is going to, I think, have a gravitational pull from all his teammates. So I think Caleb will be a successful quarterback. I don't think he's going to be like a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, but I could see him being a many season top 10 type of guy. So yeah, Caleb, I think is going to be good right away. And he has receivers around him that are definitely going to help his cause. So at number 22, Caleb Williams. At number 21, Russell Wilson, the starter for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Russell Wilson, in my opinion, is a Hall of Fame quality quarterback. Whether he gets there or not is debatable, but obviously he has regressed in recent seasons. If you've watched Russell Wilson, you would know this. But Russ still does some things that I really like. I still think that from a physical standpoint, he's still mostly there. Like, his rushing ability is still mostly there. It's not what he used to be, but it's still there. His arm strength is still mostly there. And I think what's really hurt Russ is a lot of the things where, like, as he's become a little bit lesser in some of these areas, he's just not able to pull off some of the plays that he used to be able to pull off. And he kind of gets himself in trouble. And then you combine that with like the cheesiness of him off the field. And I think it rubs some of the teammates the wrong way. I don't know this for a fact, but I'm just giving you my thought here. But I still think what Russ possesses, which many quarterbacks don't, and this is a comparison to my guy at number 20, he just has a knack for making the right play at the right time, or like a big explosive play at the right time. And he still knows how to win a game in the end. Like, he's still a winner at heart. Like, he just knows how to play in those moments. He's still, although his game is way too backyard oriented, he has never been the most structured quarterback in the world. He's never played with a ton of timing or anything. He's just been, magical in a lot of moments. Like, Russ at his best is borderline unstoppable because he'll make throws like rainbow deep balls that like go over 2 people right into the basket of Tyler Lockett. Or last year, he would run around throw the ball off platform to Cortland Sutton in double coverage, but it's a perfect pass. So like Russ still has those moments of magic that keep him high enough on the list. And the other thing I like about Russ, he knows how to play with a good defense. Like he knows not to turn the ball over. He doesn't turn the ball over very much. He protects the football. He's become more of a game manager, but he still has those flair moments of a high-end quarterback, which is what I think would be alluring if you're a Mike Tomlin type of player, or coach, I should say, with a player like Russell Wilson, where you're a defensive-oriented team, you want to run the ball, and those are things that Russ has had at his peak with Seattle, where they were a great defense, they ran the ball, but Russ can still make some plays that put you over the top. He's just not like down to down going to carry your team the way he maybe did during like the middle of his career. So at number 21, I have Russell Wilson, still a believer. I just don't think he's nearly as physically gifted or as good as he used to be. Entering the top 20, at number 20, Derek Carr. Derek Carr is very close to Russell Wilson on my list, and I really couldn't pick between the two, but Derek Carr to me is the opposite. They're so opposite. It's almost weird. Like Carr is way too conservative, while Russell Wilson, his best quality to me is like his ability to throw the ball down the field. Carr is captain check down. Like he truly is captain check down. But what I like about Carr as opposed to Russell Wilson, I think you could put him in any offense and he'd be able to run it well, and he'd be able to go to the right place with the ball at the right time. And if you put him, surrounded by good protection, he oftentimes is accurate, on time, right? He can still make the odd ad-lib play outside of structure. He has a good arm overall. The most frustrating aspect of Derek Carr's game is the fact that he's never really reached his potential outside of maybe 1 or 2 years. Like he has all the physical traits to be a great quarterback in this league and always has, but something is holding him back. He's too conservative. He oftentimes comes up very small in big moments like red zone play or third down. He's had really good years in that regard, like 2021, where I thought he really carried the Raiders to many of their wins. But since then, he has deteriorated, and he's become a quarterback that's way too concerned about his stats more so than his actual winning of the game. Well, I feel like Russell Wilson is a lot more the opposite way. He does not care how many touchdowns or, yards he has. He's just trying to make a play in the fourth quarter, and Carr is like, he's just trying to get the completion. Like, it's weird. It's a weird mix, but to me at number 20, I have Carr, a player that I think smarter than most players, more accurate than most players, better from the pocket than most players, but he's way too conservative and has just had a proven track record that he often comes up short in a lot of games. So at number 20, Derek Carr. At number 19, I got Geno Smith. Geno Smith led the NFL in completion percentage 2 years ago and had an amazing season as a first-year starter in the NFL since, he was a high draft pick by the Jets. He came to Seattle, he shocked the world, and then last year he regressed a little bit, right? He was still good. He did lead the NFL, I believe, in game-winning drives, if I'm not mistaken, last year. But I like a lot of Geno's game. First of all, I think he's got great off-the-field character. I think the transition from Russell Wilson to Geno Smith was a bright one for the Seahawks, where a lot of players seem to really gravitate towards him, really seem to love Geno Smith. And he had the personality of an underdog, which I think really helped the team in a lot of big moments in that season of 2022. But I think he's a couple things. I think his flaws are like mostly under pressure. He's not the greatest under pressure. He seems to lose some of his mechanics and accuracy when he's under pressure. He doesn't have the most mobility to be able to move away from pressure. And he's not the best at adapting towards pressure when it's coming at him from the interior to be able to manipulate the pocket, move around, and make a throw. The Tom Brady, right? He's not the greatest at that. But in terms of like overall, like inside structure, accuracy, arm strength, the ability to run when he needs to run, although he's not the best, he can do it. And then overall knowing where to go with the ball, pretty sound overall player. I think he could function in a lot of different systems. He's especially very good at attacking down the field. I think he throws a good deep ball. He's great at throwing the ball vertically. And I think sometimes he often gets into trouble by doing that too much, where he'll try to like pick on a one-on-one matchup with DK Metcalf, and he'll go to that matchup instead of going to the open man. Like he too often decides too quickly of where to go with the ball a little bit. But I think from an overall quarterback standpoint, I do really like Geno Smith on and off the field. And I think he provides you the possibility of making the playoffs. I just don't know if he is a quarterback that can elevate everybody around him. He's more of a guy that's good in a good situation. So at number 19, Geno Smith. At number 18, I have Kyler Murray. And Kyler is a very divisive player. I could see Kyler being a lot higher on some people's lists and a lot lower on some people's lists. But let's just be fair about Kyler Murray. Like, he has not really done much the last 2 years. All right, we're really thinking about, if you're thinking about elite Kyler Murray, where you would argue he's a top 10 quarterback, you're thinking of 2021. That was like 2 years ago. Okay, so he's been injured. Last year, he was good, but he wasn't great. I think he has a lot of physical tools that you love, but he also struggles in some big areas that you need to be effective to be a high-end quarterback. So obviously he's tiny, right? But he is extremely quick and one of the best scramblers in football. And he combines that with the ability to throw off platform and from multiple angles at a very high level. He also has a very strong arm, especially for his size. He can throw the ball really well. But I think that inside structure, inside the pocket, I think his size limitations show up. He's not the greatest at throwing at the intermediate level in the middle of the field. And that's where you need to be effective to be a good quarterback in the NFL. He's very good at getting the ball out fast. His release is very quick. That comes from his baseball background where he's able to whip the football. And he's very good at ad-libbing. But when it comes to inside structure, Peyton Manning football, going 1 to 2 to 3 within the pocket, right? And finding the right guy accurately on time with pressure in his face, he is not a very good quarterback. I would call him far below average in that category. But there's so many things that you like about his game, and he is one of those quarterbacks that can carry a team because he is so physically talented. So as long as he stays on the field, remains more consistent, this year he'll be able to showcase his talent a little bit more because he has better receivers. Obviously, Marvin Harrison Jr., Trey McBride's really coming into his own. The offensive line should be good. So he's going to have a great opportunity this year to really show what he is. Is he able to elevate a team that is maybe not the greatest, but has a good enough pieces for him to really showcase that he is a great quarterback? Or, because the last couple of years, you know, injuries, all that stuff, but also like the team hasn't been very talented. So this is the year for him to really show that he is that dude. Like, he is that guy. So Kyler Murray, like a lot of his game, I wish he was more cerebral. I wish he was a little bit better inside that pocket. But those are things with his limitations physically. And then I just wish he was maybe a little bit more of a better leader. I think too often you see the pouty face on the sidelines. And we know about the whole video game stuff. But those are things that definitely come up. I don't know. Those are just rumors. At number 17, Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, I think, is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in the NFL, and I considered him higher on this list. But Baker Mayfield had a great year last year. The thing with Baker, though, is that he's just been so kind of inconsistent. 1 year will be fantastic. The next year won't be fantastic, to the point where in Cleveland, like they got rid of him and he went to the Panthers. He was not very good there, a terrible situation. And then he went to the Rams, kind of rejuvenated his career a little bit, had that amazing comeback against the Raiders. Day one, he was off the plane. He knew like 4 plays. Then he went to the Bucs, and extremely impressed by Baker Mayfield last year. His ability to replace Tom Brady. We're talking about Tom Brady, TB12, the greatest of all time. To be able to replace him, right? And go out there and be able to do his thing. I mean, that speaks volumes. That speaks to his leadership capabilities. That speaks to how people around him gravitate towards him. He is a great leader, a great personality. And I think he's actually grown in terms of his maturity. He was often called out for that a little bit, for being, you know, a little bit too combative, right? But that's just the chip on his shoulder that he has. And that shows up on the field. He's one of the most fun quarterbacks to watch in terms of his grittiness. He's not the fastest. He's not the biggest. But man, that guy will run through a brick wall to get a first down in a big moment. He's got a really good arm too. Like, people underrate his arm strength. He's good at throwing the ball at the second level, throwing that ball with power. I think he really fits Mike Evans and Chris Godwin really well. Because remember, before Brady and all that, like even with Brady, with the Arians and the Leftwich and all that stuff and the offense, they were very like downfield, risk it, no biscuit type thing with Jameis Winston. And Baker, he was the right replacement for just ripping the ball down the field. And I think he also is good from within the pocket for the most part. He's really tough, and he's willing to make those throws in those big moments. And he was able to lead his team to the divisional round last year. Nobody really thought that would happen. He was able to win that division last year. So I think Baker Mayfield is kind of underrated, honestly, because of the low moments of his career. I think he's going to have another good year in 2024. He is a little bit limited in terms of size and speed and agility and movement, but his overall toughness and arm strength make up for a lot of his deficiencies. So at number 17, Baker Mayfield. At number 16, some people will like my ranking here. Some people won't love this ranking. I've got Tua. Tua at number 16. I love certain aspects of Tua's game, and I also hate certain aspects of Tua's game. I think Tua is one of the more precise, accurate passers of the football in the NFL. You watch him play entire games where he rarely misses a throw in terms of the placement and where the ball actually is located. Like, that is why I think his ability to get rid of the ball fast, his ability to play on time, to play within the schedule of the offense is really high. Like, he is a smart player at the line of scrimmage. He immediately reads where to go with the ball, and he functions this Mike McDaniel offense at an extremely high level. But there's aspects to Tua that are just very discouraging. Obviously, he's probably one of the more least physically gifted players at this position in the NFL. His arm isn't particularly strong. He's not very big, and he's not very fast. He rarely runs, and he's not very good at it. He's not very good at extending plays. And anytime he's moved off his spot, his arm strength definitely comes up in those moments. Like, when he's on his spot in the pocket, protected, and he's able to go where he wants to go with the ball, he's top 10. He's top 8. But when he is moved off his spot just a little bit, he is like bottom 10. So that's where you have to find that middle, to me, of what the structure of the offense allows him to do and what the structure of the offense doesn't allow him to do, right? And where he maybe falls a little bit short. And I think that's where we see him play Baltimore, and we see him play the Chiefs, and we see him play the Bills, and we see him play in these big games, sometimes in inclement weather. And we see him not show up in those moments because he just doesn't have enough physical talent. He's smart. He's accurate. He knows where to go with the ball, but he's a little bit limited, right? And I even think he's got a good personality. He's maybe, to me, I don't know. I don't like calling out players in this way. I think he's maybe a little bit shy, I guess would be the word. He doesn't have a huge aura to him, but still, he seems to be loved by his teammates. So I think Tua is a good quarterback. Within a good offense, he is really productive. But if you strip him away from that scheme and Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, you kind of wonder if he's the same player. So at number 16, Tua. At number 15, and this is one of the hardest guys to rank on the list, probably the hardest, and people are going to love this or hate this. At number 15, Aaron Rodgers. Now, this might seem really low for some people because he's Aaron Rodgers. And don't get me wrong, Aaron Rodgers is a top 4-5 quarterback in NFL history. But I'm talking about 2024 Aaron Rodgers. And I'm also talking about what Aaron Rodgers we saw last. So let's just put it this way. Aaron Rodgers played for the Packers 2 years ago in 2022, and he missed the playoffs, right? And he wasn't very productive, right? And we basically had the same Packer roster, couple guys got a little bit older. Jordan Love went into the offense, threw for more touchdowns, threw for more yards, made the playoffs, won a playoff game. What does that really say about Aaron Rodgers right now? Right? This is not Aaron Rodgers from the MVP seasons. This is not Aaron Rodgers from a couple of years ago where he was back-to-back MVP. So you have to give and take with his game. So the give is he's really intelligent. He's probably the smartest quarterback in the NFL. His cadence at the line of scrimmage, his ability to get the offense in the right play, his ability to just look at a receiver and audible and get them into the right route against the right coverage and be able to go to the right there with the ball is like top notch, like elite. But you wonder, off of the Achilles injury, can he move the same? Is he, the same in terms of his overall arm strength? Because obviously some of your arm strength comes from your lower body, right? So less so with Aaron Rodgers because of the way that he throws the football. But you wonder if he's not protected, will he be shy to contact? Does he really want to get hit? Is he going to be able to make those big plays that he used to in his prime, where he was able to kind of like just slightly move and then rip the ball down the field? I'm not sure. He also became way too conservative at the end of his Packer career. And in a lot of the big games that he played, like the Niners divisional round game where they lost in that like snow game and Jimmy Garoppolo had like 7 yards, they lost because Aaron Rodgers like wasn't willing to make a play. He was just holding on to the ball and not trying to turn it over, and they just ultimately lost the game. He's got to be more aggressive. And I think that was the biggest difference between him and Jordan Love within that offense. So to me, like, Aaron Rodgers is at number 15, highly intelligent, still highly accurate, obviously one of the greatest of all time, but coming off a major injury, too conservative. Can he change that? Now, the thing with Rodgers is he will be playing with a great defense. He will have a run game. He will have multiple receivers. He's still going to be able to throw those back shoulders with the best of them. He's still going to be able to make people jump offside. There's a lot of things that he brings to your team. The aura of Aaron Rodgers. But at the same time, he's a little bit more limited physically than he used to be. And you wonder about his psyche from a quarterback standpoint. In those big moments, can he be willing to make that big throw? So at number 15, Aaron Rodgers. At number 14, similar situation here with Kirk Cousins. You could switch these guys if you like. That's totally cool. But to me, I got Cousins because last year was like the best year of his career, dating up to the injury. Like, Kirk Cousins was shredding the 49ers on Monday Night Football, and Cousins is still willing to make big throws to me, unlike Aaron Rodgers. And Cousins has had 2 back-to-back great years. When he was on the field, like last year, the Vikings were not a very good team. He was probably going to get them to the playoffs last year. A lot of people thought they were not going to be a very good team. The year before, they won like 12 games. And he was not the reason they lost in the playoffs. Their defense was atrocious. So to me, you watch Kirk Cousins and you see like a quarterback that is very robotic and very like precise. But at the same time, he's so good in terms of ball location, knowing where to go with the ball, reading the entire field, going through all his reads. Right? He is not physically the best. He doesn't run very well. He doesn't have the strongest arm. So he's never really been about his physical traits, which is why I would say the Achilles might affect him a little bit less. You also talk about the offense he's going to go in, run-oriented, good offensive line will be able to protect him. Within the pocket, he's robotic. He is on his game. Like, he is money with his throws. And I think it's a great spot for him, Atlanta. I personally do, because I think the offense fits his skill set. It's not going to be too different. I think that he's going to be able to rely on players around him, and that's going to be able to allow him to get back to 100%, right? And he's very smart. He has been known to not win a lot of playoff games, but that's why he's also number 14, right? Like, he's a good quarterback, not a great quarterback. Really accurate, really smart, and rarely makes a mistake. So at number 14, I've got Kirk Cousins. At number 13, this is one that I've kind of been hating on this player. I'm not going to lie. But I think going into this year, he's about to have a massive season. And that is Trevor Lawrence. I believe Trevor Lawrence, I will go on record saying he will have the best season of his career this year. 2022 was a really good year for him. And the lone season where he kind of showed up as a top 8, top 10 quarterback. This past season was not the best product from Trevor Lawrence overall, but he was also dealing with a lot of injuries, okay? So it's kind of hard to feel where Trevor Lawrence is at because, last year playing through a lot of injuries, not really being able to move as well as he would have liked. The offensive line was catastrophically bad. The run game at times had been inconsistent. The defense at times have been inconsistent. He hasn't been in the best situation, but he does have good receivers. He does have a good coach. He has more than most. It's just that he doesn't have like a perfect situation. But Trevor Lawrence, you watch him, his high-end highlight material is elite. Like the ability to throw the ball down the field and make some of these throws that he makes are off the charts good. But it's more like the consistency in his game, which keeps him out of the top 10. And that's really my problem with him. I think sometimes he forces it a little bit too much. I think at times he doesn't play with enough ad-lib creativity. He's a little bit too robotic and structured, but he's also really physically gifted. Super strong arm, big human being, can run, can escape sacks because of his size and his quickness and speed. And he also has shown throughout his career, he can carry teammates. He can elevate offenses, receivers, right? His receivers last year let him down quite frequently, especially in the end zone. But again, I believe in his high-end traits. I believe in that ability of his game. But I also would like to see more consistency and a little bit more fun in his game, a little bit more wild nature. There's quarterbacks above him that I just think have an overall better feel for the position. I wish Lawrence would grow a little bit more in that area, but I think that he is mostly really accurate. He's really good at kind of manipulating the ball to fit in a really small location, especially in the middle of the field. He's really got that power and pop to his arm to get it outside of the numbers really, really well. He's one of the best outside the numbers throwers. And he has a really good downfield deep ball as well, which I'm excited for with Brian Thomas. But Trevor Lawrence is at number 13. At number 12, I have Jared Goff. Jared Goff has never been rated this high in his entire career on any of my rankings. So this is the highest I think I've ever rated Jared Goff, if I'm not mistaken. Goff is, man, he's tough because he's not what a lot of people think of when they think of an elite quarterback in the NFL today. But he's good, man. He is darn good. He has developed too. He's not as, I would say, scared as he used to be. He does not give a you-know-what. He's going to go out there and he's going to power throw the football at the second level better than anybody in the NFL. Off of play action, Jared Goff is absolutely deadly. And in the middle of the field, Jared Goff is one of, if not the best quarterback in the NFL. His ability to just step into a throw and put it on the money in a location for Amon-Ra or Sam Laporta, it's up there. Now, he certainly has his downside. Under pressure, moving off his spot, kind of like Tua, he's a little bit underwhelming. But unlike Tua, he has a stronger arm, he's more aggressive, and he is tougher in the pocket. He will take massive hits and make throws. And I think he's kind of an underwhelming personality, a little bit of a laid-back, chill personality, but it seems to be working for him in Detroit. I also think that his offensive line has definitely helped him a lot and aided him to success, but you cannot mistake the accuracy he throws with, the rhythm he throws with, the understanding of the Ben Johnson attack that he has, the matchups that he seems to pick on most frequently in big games. And man, this guy really, every game that he played last year, he was really good. He had maybe a little couple down moments against the 49ers, but overall, a really great season in 2023. The stats are popping off the charts as they should be in that offense with that scheme and that offensive line and those weapons. But in terms of second level throwing, power throwing the football, Jared Goff is one of the best in the NFL. At number 11, I have Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is at number 11. This one will be maybe slightly controversial because a lot of people would rate him a lot higher last year. I actually rated him a lot higher last year. I think he was in my top 5. But I think this year kind of showed us, okay, when we look at the body of work for Jalen Hurts, he's had one extremely great season and he's had a bunch of okay seasons. This past year, too many turnovers, really struggled against the blitz. And I think we saw his limitations in terms of being a passer of the football. I like a lot of what Jalen Hurts brings because physically, he's a great runner. I don't think anybody could execute that tush push. Everybody says he's a tush push, just fiend or whatever. He's somebody that just is so powerful, is so strong in his legs that he's going to move the pile. He's going to get that first down. He's going to get that touchdown. Nobody else could do that except for Cam Newton in his prime. Jalen Hurts just has that physical ability, that power, that speed, that ferociousness to get those yards in short yardage. He is a cheat code. Now, he's also a great runner, but I felt like last year he kind of didn't run as much in the big moments, in the big games. Maybe that was due to injury. I'm not exactly sure, but he needs to do that more. It's such a big part of his game. Secondly, he's a little bit too robotic in terms of arm delivery and passing delivery. He's too inside the pocket. I'm going to throw, textbook style. He doesn't have any arm angles to his game, really, and he's not good at throwing the ball outside the pocket. If you watch him, he often will, whenever he gets blitzed or pressured, and good defensive coordinators have found this out about him, he gets pressured from the side, and he'll scramble to one direction, and he can't throw the ball outside of just to the guy directly in front of him. He's very limited in that capacity. And mentally, I think he's a solid quarterback. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but a lot of that is due to his physical capability where he's just able to escape pressure and run and throw it away. He's smart in that regard, but in terms of reading a full field, the scheme and the system has been very simple for him, which has allowed him, I think, to thrive as an athlete. So there's hit and miss with him. As an athlete, there's a few better, but as a cerebral quarterback in terms of arm passing delivery, accuracy, all those things, he's a little bit underwhelming inside and outside the structure of the offense. And he's got great players on the offensive line and receiver around him. So I think that's elevated him and our thought of him a little bit. But what I also love about him is his leadership, his mentality. He seems to be great for the Eagles, leading the way. And he has a dog in him that's hard to deny. So at number 11, I have Jalen Hurts. At number 10, entering the top 10, Jordan Love is at number 10. I love me some Jordan Love. There's no denying it, man. And I think when we compare Jalen Hurts to Jordan Love, because I think this comparison will be made throughout the comments, Jordan Love, to me, what I love about his game, he needs absolutely no space to throw the ball. And this is such a hard skill to actually decipher. But when you watch Jordan Love, the pocket could be collapsing from any which direction, left, right, center. You watch him against the Cowboys in the playoffs, there's pressure coming at his feet. He's able to throw the ball off his back foot, off, the side angle, falling backwards. You saw this against the Niners as well. He is tough to stop because you can't really pressure him at a high rate because he's able to throw the ball accurately when he is on his game from so many angles that it makes him really hard to defend as a passer. He's not the greatest runner in the world. He can do it a little bit, but man, that trait of off-platform throws, and then when he's in rhythm off of play action, he's got great arm strength. to be able to throw the ball powerful at that middle of the field, crossing routes. He is absolute money. I think he's shown really good touch on like fades down the field, things like that. And man, did he really elevate the offense last year. His aggression, his ability to go with big throws down the field, not having household names at wide receiver, not having an offensive line that I think was maybe a little overrated. He made them appear a lot better, in my opinion, because he was making a lot of these plays that few quarterbacks can really make. So Love, he's just getting started, but his ceiling is immense. I was always a Jordan Love believer coming out of the draft, but man, this guy is going to be a really good one for a while, I think, just because he has those things that you can't teach in terms of passing the football. But he definitely needs to grow in terms of his maturity at the position, his intelligence of reading a defense. He's a little erratic because he throws the ball off platform so much. There's times where he doesn't need to do it. He still does it. The pocket is completely clean, and he'll miss a swing pass to the left. He'll miss a bubble screen because he's like trying to throw the ball like Aaron Rodgers in 2011 and like throwing the ball, like flicking it out. It's like, bro, just throw it properly. You would get the first down. But the moments that he's on, he is on. Okay. So at number 10, Jordan Love. By the way, appreciate everybody sticking around and watching this live stream. And if you're on YouTube right now, don't forget to Gronk spike the like button. Thank you guys for all commenting as well. Really appreciate it. We'll get to some of your comments later when I'm finished with the list. At number 9, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is my number 9. There's so many things I like about Brock Purdy, but there's also so many things you have to wonder because, look, he has got Kyle Shanahan. He's got the best weapon group in the league. He's got Christian McCaffrey. He's got a great defense. You do have to wonder, he was the last pick in the draft, Mr. Irrelevant. How much of it is the system? How much of it is Brock Purdy? And that's really the tricky question about Brock Purdy, man. I like me some Brock Purdy. And I especially love his gamerness to his game. He is, and what I mean by that is, in big moments, especially last year, Brock Purdy just makes plays, bro. It might not be the prettiest. It might not be the most eye-popping thing you've ever seen. But somehow he escaped that sack. Somehow he stepped up in the pocket, took a massive hit, and threw the ball to Brandon Ayuk in double coverage perfectly. Somehow he threw the ball to Juwan Jennings in the perfect spot with a guy draped all over him. He makes so many throws in the middle of the field in a very confined space with absolute precision and accuracy on the money that you just have to say, that's Brock Purdy. Like, I don't really care. Yeah, the offense is great. Yeah, there's a lot of open players a lot of the time. I get it. Yeah, the scheme is fantastic. But there's so many plays in those big moments that Jimmy Garoppolo did not make. If Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback of the Niners last year, they would have lost to the Packers. He's not making that game-winning drive against the Packers. But then at the same time, you would say, Brock Purdy, he sucked for like half the game against the Lions, the Packers, and the Chiefs. And it's because, appeared a little bit small in the pocket. Didn't really know when the system wasn't providing him every option. He seemed to maybe not make the most accurate throw, right? He doesn't have the strongest arm to fit it in a tight window sometimes. And obviously, he's not the biggest or the fastest individual. But he thinks the game so fast, and he often goes with the ball where it needs to go. It's just there were too many moments to me against the best teams in the league and the best defenses. Cleveland, Baltimore, Kansas City, especially, where he just was a little underwhelming compared to the rest of the season. So that's why he's at number 9 and not like number 7 or 6 or 5. He still has that level to go. But honestly, man, this guy hasn't even had a full offseason yet to work with Kyle Shanahan where he's been healthy. So I only expect his mental game, where he's already very good, his precision, his anticipation is already there. But if he gets one more full season, he could be absolutely a deadly player. So at number 9, Brock Purdy. At number 8, the runner-up in MVP last year, Dakota Prescott. Dak Prescott is my number 8. Yes, I know there's going to be a lot of haters that say he comes up small in the playoffs or big moments and all that. But I think Dak Prescott is one of those players that I don't think gets enough credit for how much he carried the team last year. Like, especially at the end of the year, they were getting shredded. They were getting shredded on defense. They couldn't stop a lick in the run game. And the system really isn't that fantastic. And I think Dak does so many things at a high level. Dak is a very smart quarterback. He, most of the time, is a very good decision maker. The thing that frustrates me about Dak is that sometimes in the biggest games, he becomes the worst possible decision maker of his entire season, like against the Packers. But did he make so many plays outside of the system last year? I mean, a million. The one that sticks in my mind is the Lions game. I think the first touchdown to CeeDee Lamb where he does like a spinorama, runs outside the pocket, throws the ball down the field, right? He's very good at the line of scrimmage. He's very good at deciphering and understanding coverages. He very rarely gets fooled, which is why in those big moments when it does happen, it seems so shocking because he doesn't make those mistakes. He does have a powerful arm, although it's not an elite arm. He does have mobility, although it's not elite. And he does have a pretty thick, frame, which I think allows him to escape a lot of sacks and then convert short yardage runs as well. He's a good leader too. Like he's just a good overall quarterback that you'd want. I think the reason why he's hated on so much is because he's good, but he's not great. There's something missing with Dak. I'm not exactly sure what it is. He's good. He's not great, which is why he's at number 8. But you cannot deny he led the NFL in passing touchdowns last year. He was top 3 or 4 in passing yards last year. He was second in MVP votes. He led one of the best, most effective offenses in football. And it's not like he had the greatest play caller in the world. So at number 8, I have Dak Prescott. At number 7, probably the most underrated quarterback in NFL history, maybe. At number 7, Matthew Stafford of the Los Angeles Rams, who I nearly put at number 6, but I settled for number 7. Matthew Stafford still is playing at an extremely high level. No one expected the Rams to make the playoffs last year, really, at all, because their defense had no names. Their offense had no names. But you know what Matthew Stafford does? He did it for years in Detroit. He turns no names into household names. That's what Matthew Stafford does. Okay? He's still got one of the strongest arms in football. He's still got one of the best release points and all the different arm angles he can throw from. He still could throw the no-lookers as good as anybody, including Patrick Mahomes. He still can layer throws with touch, right? The corner route that he throws is just absolutely chef's kiss, right? Like his ability to throw the ball on a 3rd and 12, step up in the pocket and rip the ball as hard as he can, as precise as he can on a deep dig in route about 12 yards down the field, 15 yards down the field. It doesn't get much better than that in NFL history than Matthew Stafford stepping up in the pocket on 3rd and 12 and throwing the football 15 yards. It doesn't get much better. I've not seen many quarterbacks much better than Matthew Stafford in that intermediate range. He doesn't have a lot of mobility at this point in his career. Definitely a pocket-centric quarterback, cannot run. He's not a threat, right? He is a little erratic at times in terms of decision-making and always has been. He's a little bit too aggressive at some moments. But I did feel late last year he actually got a lot better at that than most seasons. Maybe that was just the rhythm and the feel of the offense and everything was sort of working at that time. But I do feel that's the case. And I don't think he's like the biggest personality. He's not most well known for his leadership. But man, when you talk about just pure skill passing the ball, there's just not many that are better at Matthew Stafford. And the clutch moments that he has on his recent resume and the way that he's played in big games speaks for itself. So at number 7, Matthew Stafford. Entering the top 6, at number 6, I have Justin Herbert. This might be a little bit surprising that he's not maybe one spot higher, but I'm very high on my number 5. At number 6, Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, no matter the haircut, short hair, long hair, doesn't matter. He is a Terminator. He is so precise, so accurate. He's got the size. He's got the intelligence. He was built in a lab by quarterback. I don't know how to say it. Just by quarterback makers, let's say. Justin Herbert is what people think of when they think of a quarterback. They think of, man, this guy. How many throws does he make where a guy, like a defensive back, is draped all over the receiver and he puts it right on the stomach of the tight end? It's like, how do you even defend that? I don't even know. He is so good from within the pocket. His movement in the pocket to go from 1 to 2 to 3, his robotic, it's robotic. He is a robot, but this isn't in a positive way. He reads the field very well. He does have, I think, a hint more of outside the structure ability than Stafford does, and he's in a way worse situation. So that's kind of what put him ahead of Stafford, in my opinion. He's played on an absolutely horrific franchise with absolutely despicable coaching, and he's had very little protection. But there's moments where Herbert escapes pressure, moves around, throws the ball from, his sidearm throw, puts it on the money. He is able to elevate any receiver, any offensive line, any system. It doesn't matter. He could play in any era. He's that type of quarterback where he has enough physical ability to do that. He has enough intelligence to do that. He is probably the best. He might be the best. He's at least right there in terms of pocket ability in the NFL. You would just wish he would get a little bit more almost arrogant in his game. You would wish he would just put the team on his back more. You wish he would just go out there and Mahomes a little bit more, Allen a little bit more. If he had a little bit more recklessness to his game, I think there would be no denying how great Justin Herbert is. He just needs a little bit more help. His team, he's kind of like Stafford early in his career. He needs more help, but he is a phenomenal player and a phenomenal passer. Entering the top 5, at number 5, C.J. Stroud enters the top 5 after only one season, leading the NFL in yards per game as a rookie is unbelievable stuff. C.J. Stroud, I think, has the Matthew Stafford and the Justin Herbert elements, except he's got an ability to extend that I think is extremely special. His accuracy, first of all, he might already be the most accurate ball placement quarterback in the NFL, no matter it be in the pocket or outside the pocket. He understands how to put a certain amount of touch on the ball, where the ball should be located, high, low, left, right. And his ability to put the ball perfectly where it needs to be is just special. This is why I believe in this guy so much. He combines pocket passer traits of accuracy, touch, precision, timing, reading the field for a rookie at a very high level, but he's also got the creativity behind that. And he combined that, and nobody really thought he had that at Ohio State outside the Georgia game. But man, the Georgia game just became his entire rookie season where nothing's there. He's running around in circles. His offensive line's injured, the most injured in the NFL. He's trying to find Tank Dell. He runs to the left. He runs back to the right. He throws the ball, perfect touch on it to Tank Dell for a first down. How many plays did he make in the red zone? How many plays did he make on 3rd and 17? The run game sucked. The defense was average. The rookie coaching. This guy's legit. We have not seen a rookie quarterback carry a team like this since Andrew Luck. C.J. Stroud is that dude. And he has so much dog in him. It's ridiculous. So I think CJ Stroud could be the best quarterback in the NFL one day. I'm not saying that's now, but one day. I think he has that type of upside. So at number 5, I have CJ Stroud. At number 4, Lamar MVP Jackson. He is a 2-time MVP. He is my number 4 quarterback. And there's only one thing that Lamar Jackson has to do on his resume. That is playoff success. And that's what holds him back. Other than that, I've always been a fan of Lamar Jackson. Always. Coming out of the draft, people thought he was a receiver. I thought he was the best quarterback in the entire draft. And that's on YouTube if you want proof. So I'm not a Lamar hater, but there are plenty of Lamar haters out there. For some reason, despite him being the offense for his team, the run game, the pass game, his protection, because he runs around, he avoids sacks at a very high rate. He is more accurate than people think. He has a stronger arm than people think. He's a better passer than people think. His release might be the best in the NFL. His release is so fast. And of course, he is one of the most dynamic rushers in NFL history. Cam Newton said that Lamar Jackson's the best rusher in NFL history at quarterback. So there's a reason he's MVP most valuable, because he elevates the receivers. He elevates the O-line. He elevates truly the run game more than anyone else in the NFL. Because when there's a read option, every single run, the edge has to watch Lamar Jackson. Because if they don't, he's going to pull the ball and run. And he's going to get a first down. He might get more than that. So Lamar has grown as a passer, grown as a smart quarterback, as a thrower. The thing that Lamar needs to do is in the playoffs, in the AFC Championship, he needs to come up big instead of small when he has to throw on 3rd and 12 against one of the best defenses in the league, and he needs to step up in the pocket, and he needs to get hit, and the pocket is collapsing, and he needs to throw a power ball. He needs to get better at that. Otherwise, he's in the conversation for the best quarterback in the league each and every year. So at number 4, Lamar Jackson. At number 3, a man that was injured last year. But man, don't forget about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is my number 3. Joe Shiesty, as he's known. Where you begin with Joe Burrow is, I think people don't understand what truly makes him a great player, because he does not run like Lamar. He does not have all the arm angles like Mahomes. He's not as big as Josh Allen or have as strong of an arm as any of those guys. But Joe Burrow throws the ball and plays the position a little bit like Drew Brees or Peyton Manning. And it's a little bit different from the modern quarterback. He is so good at the line of scrimmage. And their offense often relies on Burrow to read the coverage, decipher the matchup, and go with the ball in the right spot. And as Tom Brady said, that's the greatest skill you can possibly have as a quarterback. And if Tom Brady said it, I got to believe it, right? So Joe Burrow is arguably the most accurate passer in football. He is excellent at reading defenses. He's maybe the best, other than Aaron Rodgers, in the game. And then he adds this ability, this trait, where he's able to elevate players on his offense in the biggest moments. Joe Burrow has a ice cold factor to him that Lamar does not. And I know stats don't necessarily say that, but if you actually watch the game with your eyes instead of your calculator, you would see it. There is an aura to Joe Burrow as a leader. There's an ability, both through his passing precision and his ability to ad-lib, which is very largely mistaken for not very significant, but he is very good outside the pocket. He is very good at extending plays. He's very good at scrambling in the moments where he needs to scramble. That's not his entire game. He's very mechanical from within the pocket, right? He reads defenses very well. He is tough from within the pocket. I mean, he went to a Super Bowl in a year where the O-line was arguably the worst in the NFL. Like, let's not forget about that. He is the only guy other than Tom Brady to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Okay? So, to me, Joe Burrow is everything I would want in a quarterback. I love watching him because he reminds me of the 2000s quarterbacks, but he's the new era. So at number 3, the assassin named Joe Burrow. At number 2, Josh Allen. Josh Allen is my number 2. Probably the most physically talented quarterback in NFL history. I'm not talking NFL right now. Josh Allen is an absolute dog. Okay? And Josh Allen, just to say it, is my favorite quarterback in the league because he just does things that don't make any sense. His arm is absolutely insane. His rushing ability, he runs people over. He runs past them. Sacks, it doesn't even matter. He just stiff arms the guy, runs away from him, throws an absolute laser down the field right after that. And like Josh Allen's ability is just through the roof. It's unbelievable. He has all the arm angles. He has the arm strength. He has accuracy is good. Like, he is not inaccurate. People thought he would be coming out of college. He is accurate, especially at the intermediate middle of the field. Very good. Very good. Has probably the best power throws in the sport and is also a demon running the ball. He led the NFL in touchdowns this past season, has led the NFL in touchdowns since 2020. And people will be like, he turns it over too much. He had 17 or 18 picks? Like, Mahomes had 14. Like, it's when you have that many touchdowns, and you're carrying the team, you don't have a top-notch play caller. You don't have a top-notch offensive line. You don't have a top-notch receiving core. You don't have a top-notch defense. Like, the Bills are Josh Allen. Like, the Bills go as far as Josh Allen will carry them. The guy literally plays like Superman on Sundays. So, Josh Allen is special. If it were not for the number 1, he would be number 1 on most lists. But number 1 is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. And everyone knows this, but I want to give the reason why I think he's the best quarterback in the NFL. Because as I just mentioned, I don't think he's as physically talented as Josh Allen. And despite him being extremely talented, he is very, very, very good throwing the football. I mean, his arm strength is elite. His arm angles are obviously elite. Throws no lookers, throws left-handers, throws underhand, is really, really good in the pocket. Pocket manipulation is elite, which is probably where he's got Allen a little bit, but Burrow is just as good in that regard. I think where Mahomes is the best is I think his feel, his creativity is the best I've ever seen. Like, his ability to extend, but in terms of know when to play within the structure, know when to play without the structure in the moment of the game, be able to escape pressure, know where to still go with the ball despite being under pressure and not make a lot of mistakes. He used to, but it feels like he doesn't anymore. He's really kind of honed that part of his game and toned that into what he is. And to me, Patrick Mahomes, he has become much more of a Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees type, where his feel for getting rid of the ball, his feel for playing on time, his control of a football game, that's why they won the Super Bowl last year. Like, his control of those playoff games. He wasn't putting up the best stats. He wasn't. But in terms of learning from somebody like Tom Brady, playing not always for the big play, not always for the kill shot, but for extending this drive or helping my defense out or checking this down to get a good 5-6 yards on first down so that we can set up second down or third down. He's grown so much in that area where I feel like that's where he's kind of been able to escape Josh Allen in terms of that comparison. I think Allen sometimes misses that component where Mahomes is just much more calculated in how he feels for an entire 60 minute of a game. And that could do with the coaching as well. Like Andy Reid is excellent, but there's no denying how controlled Mahomes is. So yeah. All right, man. That's my list. I went a little bit longer than I was supposed to, but it was a lot of fun to talk about these quarterbacks, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Just going to go over some of the comments real quick. CTESPN is in the chat. What's up, man? Stop glazing. Hey, that's my job. That's my job, bro. It's my job. Rob says Allen takes too many hits. Could stand in more. Think so? I don't know. No way Herbert was 23. What? What are you talking about? Herbert was 6, bro. Ross, thanks for joining. Rave or Rav? Love was number 10. Okay, yeah. By the way, I do have a recap list. So let me go over my recap list right now. That reminded me. Thank you, guys. So my recap list is right here. I don't know how to get rid of my face, so I'm just going to put this here for now. So let's just go over it quickly. So if you guys missed it, this is my list. At number 32, Bo Nix. Number 31, Bryce Young. Number 30, Sam Darnold. Number 29, Gardner Minshew. Number 28, Jayden Daniels. Number 27, Daniel Jones. Number 26, Will Levis. Number 25, Deshaun Watson. Number 24, Drake Maye. Number 23, Anthony Richardson. At number 22, Caleb Williams. At number 21, Russell Wilson. Number 20, Derek Carr. Number 19, Geno Smith. At number 18, Kyler, the video gamer, Murray. At number 17, the Bake Man, Baker Mayfield. At number 16, Tua turned the ball over. No, I'm just kidding. At number 15, Aaron Rodgers. At number 14, Kirk Cousins. At number 13, I don't think I have on the list. Where's my number 13? Bro, did I not do number 13? Am I delusional? Who was number 13? Oh, Trevor Lawrence. Number 12, Jared Goff. Number 11, Jalen Hurts. Apologize for not having number 13. I knew I was missing somebody. At number 10, Jordan Love. At number 9, Brock Purdy. At number 8, Dakota Prescott. At number 7, Matthew Stafford. At number 6, Justin Herbert. At number 5, CJ Stroud. At number 4, Lamar Jackson, MVP. At number 3, Joe Shiesty, Burrow. And at number 2, Joshua Allen. And at number 1, Patrick Mahomes. That is the list. Yeah, you could probably scroll, and Cool Cullen, my list will be on YouTube. You can watch the whole list there. I give an explanation why Hurts is at number 11. I understand some people might have him in the top 10. That's fine. I think that there's areas of his game that he is limited. I don't enjoy some of the aspects of his game, but that's just me. And this is just my subjective NFL quarterback rankings. So yeah. If you guys want to see the whole list again, it will be on YouTube tomorrow on The Bottom Line View, which you guys can subscribe to my channel if you like. The Bottom Line View, where I'll be ranking every single NFL position, including position groups, offenses, defenses, teams, all that sort of stuff. I will also be back, I think, in 10 days. Next is my next stream. I'll be ranking the top running backs in the NFL. I'll be doing the top receivers in the NFL. I think I'm doing tight ends. We've also got edge rushers, secondary players. All those lists will be on BR. So I'm very excited for that. Dopey. I think Josh Allen is pretty clearly the second best quarterback in the NFL. I would say that Burrow would have an argument if he was healthier, but he just can't stay healthy. Lamar has been a little bit less consistent. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all your comments. I'll be back soon. Deuces.